Astiv Vitis rupestris Vitis repu. Welcome back to Rewind with bschwitty, because it's been Agatha all along. A friend of mine who isn't well versed with wine asked me the other day, when you're making the wine, do you put it all together first and then decide it tastes like a Merlot or a Sauv Blanc? And that got me thinking about some general misconceptions about winemaking. So today we're going to bring out the Rewind Factboard 2.0 and talk to you about American wineries generally label wine by either varietal or by a random blend name. Merlot and Sauvignon Blanc are wine grape varietals. And what do we mean by wine grape varietals? Well, there are many different wine grape varietals around the world, but the ones that are generally used to make wine with are from the species Vitis vinifera, which are native to the Mediterranean region and Central Europe. As Europeans began crossing the Atlantic to the Americas, they started bringing the grape varieties from back home with them. While these grapes didn't survive on their own due to grapevine pests and diseases native to the Americas, they were eventually grafted onto rootstock that were native to the New World. These helped make the Vitis vinifera survive in their new environment. The reason they went through this trouble is because the American grapes didn't produce the flavors of wine that the European colonists were used to / preferred. The first American rootstock to be used was Vitis riparia, but eventually Vitis aestivalis, Vitis rupestris, and Vitis berlandieri have been used. These rootstocks have pretty much saved winemaking around the world, as the Europeans that brought back American grapevines to study were responsible for unleashing the phylloxera epidemic that killed off a lot of European vineyards in the late 1800s, and reshaped France's winemaking regions into what they are today. Common grape varietals include Pinot Noir, Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Malbec, Syrah, Grenache, Chardonnay, Riesling, and Sauvignon Blanc. In the US, if you claim a wine is a single varietal, it has to be comprised of 75% of that varietal. Each grape varietal has its own unique characteristics that influence how a wine tastes, but the other factors in what determines a wine flavor ensures that they don't all taste the same. Differences in soil and growing conditions, as well as the winemaking, fermentation, and aging process, will all produce different tasting wines, even if they are the same varietal. Speaking of the winemaking process, another question I get a lot is, how do they decide what flavors to put in the wine? As if winemakers are just putting in things like vanilla extract and other fruits to flavor the wine. The truth is, they're not doing that. There are only 4 places wine gets flavor from: the grapes itself, the soil and growing conditions, the processing and fermentation process, and the aging process. The grapes have inherent general flavors. The soil and growing conditions help determine the ripeness of the fruit and what flavors it will give off. Also, grapes reflect some of the notes of the soil. The French refer to this as terroir. How you process the grape will determine how clean the grapes are when fermenting. Too much grape stems can add astringency or other flavors, and then in the fermentation process, the types of yeast used can have minor influences on flavor. Finally, the aging process allows you to impart oak flavors from barrels, or not. Now, circling back to the beginning of the winemaking process, generally in the New World, when you're making wine, each varietal ripens at a different time. For example, Pinot Noir is one of the earliest red grapes to ripen, whereas Petit Verdot is usually one of the latest ones to come in. Now, it gets a little trickier when it comes to old world wines. Generally, in countries like France, Italy, and Spain, their wines are labeled by their regions. The regions they come from have regulations on what grapes can be grown and used in their blends. Therefore, to really know what you're drinking from a varietal perspective, you have to know what each region grows. An example of this would be Chianti, which is a region in Italy known for its cheap red wine, which we call Chianti. But what you may not know is that Chianti is made usually from 100% Sangiovese grapes. I don't have the time right now to go through what each famous wine region grows. That's usually for my wine regions episodes, which you could probably find in the title card somewhere on the top right. But while the US has wine regions as well, they're not the major focus for what's in the bottle, nor do they really regulate as strictly as the European AOCs about what varietals can be grown where. This is why I've met a lot of French winemakers in America looking to make good wine here without the restrictive rules of their home country. Some they like to call going back to. Do you have any extra questions about some basic winemaking stuff? Let me know in the comments below. Like, what is the one wine question that you're afraid to ask because you think you'll be ridiculed or laughed at? This is a safe space. We're not going to make fun of you. Leave it in the comments. I'll get to it. We could do one of these things or, something without the snarky board thing. But that's it for me this week on Rewind. Remember, you can find us on YouTube by going to rewindshow.com, which will take you directly to my channel. Give me a like, comment, share, subscribe, ring the bell. All those things will greatly help me in the algorithm. Wine is not something that people search for every day, so it would be nice to get a little leg up. Otherwise, you can find me on Instagram at rewindshow, or on Facebook /bschwitty, and on Twitter at bschwitty. Connect, say hi, listen to my podcast about 90s stuff. It's a good time. Either way, this has been Rewind. My name is bschwitty, and I will catch you next time.